minutes, 3,600 seconds, and in just 1 hour a day, you can change everything. If you're tired of feeling stuck, like you're always busy but never moving closer to your goals, this is your wake-up call. You don't need more time. You need to stop wasting the time you already have. 1 hour every day with complete focus and no distractions is enough to transform your life. In this audiobook, we're not here for fluff or inspiration that fades away. We're here for real, actionable steps that you can use to take control of that hour and make it work for you. It's time to stop making excuses, stop waiting for the perfect moment, and start turning your 1 hour into the catalyst for real change. The truth is, you can achieve more than you think in just 1 hour a day. And I'm going to show you how. Every day counts. Every hour counts. Let's make this 1 hour matter. Chapter 1. The power of 1 hour. You've got 1 hour. That's 60 minutes. Or 3,600 seconds. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But in just 1 hour a day, you can change everything. Think about it. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between people who achieve their goals and those who don't is what they choose to do with that time. The problem is, we tend to waste it. We scroll through social media, watch TV for hours, or spend endless minutes checking our emails. Before we know it, that precious time is gone. The clock keeps ticking, and we've done nothing to move closer to our dreams. But here's the truth. You don't need more time. You need to be intentional with the time you already have. 1 hour, every day. That's all it takes to start making real progress. It's not about working harder or finding more hours. It's about showing up for yourself and using the time you already have to work on what matters most. You know who said, "Time is money"? Benjamin Franklin. But time is more than just money. It's your most valuable resource. It's the only thing you can never get back. Every second you waste is one you can never reclaim. That's why how you spend your time is crucial. You may think, "I'm too busy to do anything extra." But here's the thing. It's not about finding extra time. It's about using the time you already have. You don't need to work all day or push yourself to the limit. Just carve out 1 hour. That's it. Look at some of the world's most successful people. Oprah Winfrey, for example, doesn't get more hours than you. She has the same 24 hours. What sets her apart is how she uses them. She said, "The biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams, and that life starts with small, consistent actions. Every day, it starts with taking 1 hour a day and making it count." It's the same with athletes like Serena Williams. She didn't become a champion by spending hours every day doing nothing. She focused on 1 hour at a time, perfecting her craft, getting better with every minute. Each hour spent improving her skills added up over time and helped her reach the top. That's what you need to do too. So let's get down to how you can start using your hour every day to change your life. Consistency is the game changer. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up. Small, consistent actions build over time. In fact, a study by the American Psychological Association found that people who made small, consistent changes over time were more successful than those who relied on big bursts of effort. That's because consistency compounds. The more you show up and use your time wisely, the more you get done. For example, let's say you want to learn a new skill. You don't need to put in 10 hours a day. If you dedicate just 1 hour a day, you'll make progress. In a month, you'll have spent 30 hours. In a year, that's 65 hours. That's 65 hours of growth and improvement. Imagine what you could achieve with that kind of dedication. Here's the thing about time. It's like money. You can spend it, save it, or waste it. Every minute counts. If you focus on small, meaningful tasks during that hour, tasks that move you toward your goals, those minutes will add up, and before you know it, you'll have made more progress than you ever thought possible. Now, let's talk about a concept called the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. It states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. In simple terms, this means that the most important things in your life, whether that's building your career, getting fit, or learning something new, take up only a small portion of your time. But those small, focused actions give you the biggest results. So, if you focus your 1 hour on those most important tasks, you'll get the most bang for your buck. That hour doesn't need to be spent on random tasks or things that don't really matter. Spend it on what truly moves you closer to your goals, whether that's reading a chapter of a book, writing a few pages, or practicing a new skill. Focus your energy on the high-impact activities. That's where the magic happens. Now, let's get real about time management. Here's a hard truth. If you don't manage your time will manage you. Without clear intentions and a plan, time can slip away before you know it. 1 minute you're planning to do something, and the next minute, hours have passed without you making any progress. So, what can you do to start managing your time better? Start by prioritizing. What's the most important thing you can do right now that will bring you closer to your goal? Start there, and make sure you do it first, in your 1 hour. Don't get distracted by things that aren't as important. Focus on the tasks that will make the biggest impact. Next, track your time. Keep a log of what you're doing with each hour throughout the day. This will help you identify where you're wasting time and where you can make adjustments. You'll be shocked at how much time slips away when you're not paying attention. Lastly, eliminate distractions. If you're trying to use that 1 hour for something important, don't let your phone, emails, or social media pull you away. Turn them off. You'll be amazed at how much more productive you can be when you give your full attention to the task at hand. Focus is the key to getting the most out of your hour. If you've ever tried to multitask, you know how ineffective it can be. Studies show that multitasking actually decreases productivity. Instead of trying to do everything at once, give your full attention to one task at a time. This is where the concept of deep work comes in. Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, talks about the importance of focused, uninterrupted work. He says, the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task is becoming increasingly rare. At exactly the same time, it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. That's true for everything you do. The more focused your work, the better your results. When you spend 1 hour in deep work, no distractions, no interruptions, you'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish. Whether you're writing, learning, or working on a personal project, focusing on one task at a time is the key to success. So, what are you waiting for? You have 1 hour. That's all you need to start making a change. Stop waiting for the perfect time, because it doesn't exist. Start now. Take that first step. Use that 1 hour to build the life you want. Remember, the only thing holding you back is how you choose to spend your time. You can keep letting it slip away, or you can start taking control. The choice is yours. So, get started. Your hour starts now. Reflection time. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do with my hour today that will bring me closer to my goals? Start with that and make it count. Chapter 2. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is overrated. Let's face it, if we all waited until we felt motivated to take action, nothing would ever get done. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline, real consistent discipline, is what separates those who succeed from those who just talk about success. So, if you've been waiting for the right moment or for that burst of energy to hit, it's time to stop. Motivation is a fleeting feeling. Discipline is what will help you get things done, whether you feel like it or not. Think about this. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start once I feel motivated"? How often does that work out? It's easy to get caught up in that cycle, hoping that one day you'll just feel like doing the work. But here's the truth. You can't wait for motivation. You have to create the habits and systems that get you to work, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation, like all emotions, is temporary. It's a burst of energy or excitement that comes and goes based on how you feel. If you rely on it, you're setting yourself up for failure. In fact, studies show that motivation is most effective when it's linked to a specific goal or when there's external pressure pushing you to act. But on its own, motivation isn't consistent enough to build habits or lead to long-term success. The key here is to understand that motivation isn't required to do the work. Discipline is. Discipline is what helps you show up every day and do the things you need to do, even when you don't feel like it. It's the difference between someone who waits for inspiration and someone who takes action no matter what. Consider the famous quote by Jocko Willink, a retired Navy SEAL and leadership expert: "Discipline equals freedom." This simple yet powerful statement highlights the idea that discipline gives you control over your actions, even when motivation is absent. It's about doing the work, regardless of how you feel in the moment. And that's where real progress happens, through consistent effort, day after day. Habits are the backbone of success. Once something becomes a habit, you don't need to rely on motivation to get it done. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to do it every day. It's just something you do automatically because it's a part of your routine. That's the power of habits. The goal is to make the actions that lead to success automatic, just like brushing your teeth. Instead of relying on fleeting motivation to drive you, create habits that you can stick to no matter what. This takes the pressure off of you, because when it's a habit, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. One simple way to start building habits is by using the 2-minute rule. This rule comes from David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. The idea is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. This reduces procrastination and creates momentum, especially for small tasks that often get ignored. By starting with just 2 minutes, you'll find it much easier to keep going. For example, let's say you've been avoiding a workout because it feels like a big commitment. Instead of thinking about a 45-minute session, just focus on getting started. Commit to doing only 2 minutes of exercise. That's it. After 2 minutes, you'll often find that you can keep going. The key is to break the task down into something small and manageable. Starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, you'll build the momentum you need to finish. Creating a routine is another way to stop waiting for motivation. If you do something every day at the same time, it becomes part of your routine and it's much harder to skip. You don't need to feel motivated to get out of bed every day and go to work or school. It's just what you do. You can apply the same principle to your goals. To create a solid routine, start small. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Pick one small habit you want to focus on. Maybe it's writing for 10 minutes every morning or going for a walk after lunch. Set a specific time and place for it. The more consistent you are, the more it will become a routine that doesn't rely on motivation. There's a lot of science behind why habits are so powerful. According to a study by Duke University, nearly 40% of our daily actions are habitual. That means that almost half of what we do each day is automatic. And habits aren't just a way to make life easier, they also have a big impact on our success. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, found that habits are closely tied to the brain's reward system. When you repeat an action consistently, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. This makes you more likely to repeat the action because your brain associates it with a positive outcome. That's why habits are so powerful. Once they're established, your brain rewards you for continuing, making it easier to keep going without relying on motivation. Willpower is like a muscle. It's something you can train, but it also gets tired the more you use it. The more you rely on willpower to get things done, the more likely you are to burn out. This is why motivation can be so unreliable. You can't use willpower every single day to force yourself into action. That's why it's important to rely on systems and habits, not willpower. Willpower is finite. If you build systems that make success easier, like creating a solid routine or using the 2-minute rule, you don't have to rely on willpower as much. Instead, you make success inevitable. Another way to stop waiting for motivation is by having accountability. When someone else is involved in your journey, it's easier to stay on track. That's why having a workout buddy, an accountability partner, or even just telling a friend about your goals can make a huge difference. When you know someone is counting on you, it gives you an extra reason to show up, even when you don't feel like it. You might have heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with motivated, driven people, you're more likely to stay motivated yourself. They can push you to do things, even when your motivation wanes, and you can do the same for them. A big part of relying on motivation is the idea that you need to wait for the perfect time to start. The truth is, the perfect time doesn't exist. The best time to start is right now, in the middle of your busy life. Waiting for motivation to strike is just a form of procrastination. The longer you wait, the further away your goals will seem. Remember Tony Robbins' quote, "The only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment." It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or feeling ready. It's about committing to take action, no matter how small, every single day. It's about making progress in the right direction, even when motivation isn't there. The bottom line is this: don't wait for motivation to show up. If you do, you'll always be waiting. Instead, take action. Create habits, build discipline, and once you start, momentum will follow. Every step you take, no matter how small, gets you closer to your goal. The secret to success is simple: discipline over motivation. So, what's one action you can take today? It doesn't matter if you feel motivated or not. Start small, take that first step, and let your consistency lead you to the success you've been waiting for. Chapter 3. The smallest wins matter the most. We've all heard the saying, success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. This quote by Robert Collier couldn't be more accurate when it comes to building something great in your life. The truth is, most people focus on the big, flashy achievements, but they forget the importance of the small wins that add up over time. So often we look at successful people and think they must have done something huge all at once to get there. The reality is, they achieved success through small, consistent actions. If you want to see real progress, you need to focus on the small wins. These are the victories you can accomplish every day, the little things that build momentum and keep you moving forward. They might seem insignificant at first, but over time they add up to something much bigger than you imagined. Don't let the big picture overwhelm you. Focus on what you can do today, right now, to move forward. Take, for example, a writer. If they were to sit down every day and focus on writing just 100 words, they might feel like it's not much. But over time, those 100 words every day add up to a book. It might take months or even years, but those small daily victories create a finished product. Without those tiny wins, the big achievement would never happen. We live in a world that often tells us we need to see instant results. Social media bombards us with the highlight reels of people's lives, making it easy to think that success happens overnight. But it doesn't. It happens little by little, one small step at a time. This is the key to real, lasting success, focusing on the small wins and celebrating each one as you go. Let's look at the famous example of Thomas Edison, who is often quoted saying, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Edison didn't invent the light bulb in one day. It took him thousands of attempts, but each attempt, each small failure, was a win in its own right, because it brought him closer to the goal. Those small, seemingly insignificant steps made him one of the most important inventors in history. It's the same for all of us. Small wins, accumulated over time, create momentum that propels us toward bigger wins. But too many people overlook the power of small actions. They feel like they're not making enough progress, so they give up before they can see the bigger results. If you've ever tried to lose weight, you know how overwhelming it can feel to think about the end goal. Losing 20 pounds can seem impossible when you're starting. But what if you focused on the small wins? Instead of obsessing over the end goal, celebrate the victories along the way, like choosing a healthy meal, getting in a 20-minute workout, or drinking more water than you did yesterday. Each of those actions is a win, and those small wins will add up. And before you know it, you'll see the progress you've been working for. The key to progress is simple. Celebrate the small victories, whether it's getting through a workout, finishing a task at work, or reading a few pages of a book. Celebrate it. Acknowledge that you're moving forward. Those small wins will build momentum and create the positive energy you need to keep going. You don't need to wait for big milestones to celebrate. Recognize the little things, and you'll keep pushing forward. In his book, The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg talks about the concept of the keystone habit. A keystone habit is a small, everyday behavior that can have a ripple effect on other areas of your life. For example, committing to exercise can lead to other positive habits, like eating healthier or getting more sleep. The small win of exercising leads to bigger wins in other areas, creating a domino effect of success. When you focus on one small habit, it sets the stage for other wins to follow. Duhigg's research shows that when we focus on small wins, our brains get a reward, a rush of dopamine, which motivates us to keep going. This is why small wins are so powerful. They keep us on track and encourage us to keep making progress, even when things get tough. This positive feedback loop keeps you going, creating a cycle of growth that's hard to break. Let's take a moment to think about something you've accomplished in your life. It could be something big or small. Maybe it was finishing a big project at work, or learning how to cook a new recipe. What did it take to get there? It took showing up every day and making small decisions that moved you closer to that goal. It wasn't about one huge dramatic moment. It was about the small actions you took day in and day out. One powerful way to embrace the power of small wins is through habit stacking. Habit stacking is a technique where you attach a new habit to an existing one. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, you can add a quick 5-minute workout right after brushing your teeth. By stacking a new habit on top of an existing one, you make it easier to stick to the new habit, and you start building momentum. The most successful people in the world understand the importance of small wins. Warren Buffett, one of the world's wealthiest individuals, says, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." In other words, success doesn't come from making quick, risky moves. It comes from steady, consistent action over time. The same goes for your personal goals. Slow and steady wins the race. It's important to remember that progress isn't always visible in the beginning. Sometimes you won't see the immediate results of your hard work, but that doesn't mean you're not making progress. This is why it's crucial to celebrate the small wins, because those small steps are laying the foundation for future success. Think about it. A tree doesn't grow overnight. It starts with a tiny seed that grows little by little, day by day, until it becomes a full-grown tree. This principle applies to your goals too. Whether you're building a business, writing a book, or improving your health, the progress is often invisible at first. But with consistent effort, those small wins will add up, and one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Don't get discouraged if you don't see instant results. Keep focusing on the small wins and trust the process. The law of consistency is simple. Small, consistent actions lead to big results. It's about showing up every day and doing the work, even when it feels like you're not making a difference. But those daily actions add up, and over time, you'll see that they've made a huge impact. It's like the story of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise, slow and steady, wins the race. It wasn't the tortoise's speed that won the race. It was his consistency. When you focus on small wins, you build the habit of consistency. You create a routine that becomes a part of your life. And that routine is what leads to success. Don't let the fear of not making big leaps hold you back. Focus on the small wins, and they will carry you forward. One of the best things you can do is to track your wins, whether it's with a journal, a planner, or an app. Keeping track of your small wins is a great way to stay motivated and celebrate your progress. Seeing how far you've come can give you the boost you need to keep going. Each time you achieve a small win, mark it down. Over time, you'll be amazed at how much you've accomplished. The most important thing to remember is that the smallest wins matter. Those little victories are what keep you moving forward. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see instant results, but the small wins are the building blocks of long-term success. Every small win is a step toward your goal. Every time you show up and do the work, you're getting closer to the life you want. So, today, focus on what you can do. Celebrate your small wins, no matter how tiny they seem. Whether it's reading a page of a book, making one healthy choice, or finishing a task you've been avoiding, those wins matter, and over time, they'll add up to something bigger than you could ever imagine. Chapter 4: Breaking the Cycle of Procrastination. Procrastination. We all deal with it. It's that feeling when you know you should be doing something but can't seem to get started. You put things off, day after day, telling yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," but the days keep passing and nothing gets done. It feels like you're stuck in a cycle that's impossible to break. But here's the thing. Procrastination doesn't have to control you. You don't have to keep putting things off, and you don't have to let the pressure build up. There's a simple but powerful strategy that can help you break the cycle and get started, no matter how big or small the task. It's called the 5-minute rule. The 5-minute rule is simple. When you're feeling stuck, commit to working on the task for just 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. No more, no less. It doesn't matter if it's a big project, a small chore, or something you've been putting off for weeks. Tell yourself that you'll work on it for just 5 minutes. And here's the secret. Once you get started, it's much easier to keep going. The hardest part is starting, and once you've done that, the momentum carries you through. You've probably heard people say, "Just do it." That's what this rule is all about. It's about taking action, no matter how small. It's not about perfection or making huge progress in one go. It's about breaking the mental barrier that keeps you from starting in the first place. The 5-minute rule helps you take the first step, and that's the most important part of overcoming procrastination. Think about this. Albert Einstein once said, "The only source of knowledge is experience." But how can you gain experience if you never take the first step? It's easy to get overwhelmed by a big project or a long to-do list. But when you focus on just starting, the weight of the task becomes more manageable. Whether you're writing a paper, cleaning the house, or starting a new habit, commit to working for just 5 minutes. It doesn't sound like much, but those 5 minutes will build momentum, and soon enough, you'll find yourself working for longer without even thinking about it. There's something powerful about setting a small goal. Instead of telling yourself you need to complete an entire project or finish a big task, focus on just one small action that you can accomplish right now. You don't need to feel motivated to start. Motivation often doesn't show up until you take action. The more you focus on the small steps, the easier it becomes to take the next one and the next, until you've made real progress. That's the magic of the 5-minute rule. This rule also helps fight the negative feelings that come with procrastination. When you put off a task, it often feels like there's a heavy weight on your shoulders. You worry about how much you have to do, and the more you think about it, the harder it becomes to start. But the 5-minute rule takes that weight off your shoulders. It's a simple way to get moving without the pressure of trying to do everything at once. You're telling yourself, "I don't have to do it all, just 5 minutes," and that makes it feel more manageable. Studies show that taking the first step is often the hardest part of overcoming procrastination. In a study conducted by the University of Toronto, researchers found that people are more likely to procrastinate when they're overwhelmed by a task. But when the task is broken down into smaller steps, people are more likely to take action. The 5-minute rule works because it makes the task feel less overwhelming. By focusing on just 5 minutes, you can trick your brain into getting started without the usual feelings of dread or anxiety. The 5-minute rule is also a way to bypass the need for motivation. You don't need to be excited or motivated to do something, you just need to start. And once you start, you'll often find that motivation comes naturally. It's like a snowball effect. Once you take that first step, it gets easier and easier to keep going. Let's take a look at the science behind why this works. Procrastination often happens because of fear. Fear of failure, fear of not doing it perfectly, fear of the unknown. When we're faced with a task, our brain can get overwhelmed by these fears, making it harder to take action. But when you commit to just 5 minutes, you're telling your brain, "I don't need to be perfect, I just need to show up." This shifts your focus from fear to action, and once you start acting, the fear starts to fade away. Mel Robbins, in her book The 5-Second Rule, talks about how our brains are wired to avoid discomfort. When we think about a task, our brain can trigger feelings of discomfort, which leads to procrastination. But when we take action quickly, we override that response. The 5-minute rule works in the same way. Instead of allowing yourself to get stuck in fear or doubt, you push past it by committing to just a small amount of time. You can always stop after 5 minutes, but the act of starting often leads to more. Let's say you have a report to write. It feels like a huge task, and the thought of sitting down to write for hours is enough to make you put it off. But if you follow the 5-minute rule, you tell yourself, "I'll write for just 5 minutes." 5 minutes isn't overwhelming. It's just enough time to start, and once you begin typing, the words start flowing, and soon enough you're halfway through the report before you even realize it. One of the most powerful things about the 5-minute rule is that it gives you a sense of control. Procrastination often makes us feel helpless, like we're not in charge of our time. But when you commit to 5 minutes, you take control. You make the decision to act, even if it's just for a short time, and that decision puts you back in the driver's seat. Another reason procrastination holds us back is perfectionism. We often avoid tasks because we feel like we need to do them perfectly, but perfectionism is paralyzing. The 5-minute rule helps you get started without worrying about being perfect. It allows you to make progress without the pressure of getting everything just right. It's about showing up and doing the work, no matter how imperfect the outcome might be. Think about how this works in everyday life. Maya Angelou once said, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have." The same goes for action. The more you take small actions, the more momentum you build. It's like training a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. The 5-minute rule helps you build that momentum and break the cycle of procrastination. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about how small habits lead to big results. The key is consistency. Small actions done consistently over time lead to incredible results. And the 5-minute rule is a great way to start building those small habits. By committing to just 5 minutes, you're creating a pattern of action that will eventually lead to bigger accomplishments. Now, let's get practical. The 5-minute rule can be applied to any task, no matter how big or small, whether it's working on a project, cleaning your house, or even just getting out of bed. Committing to 5 minutes is all it takes to get started. Once you start, you'll often find that the task isn't as hard as you thought. It's just the act of beginning that seems difficult. Procrastination doesn't have to control your life. The 5-minute rule is a simple way to get started, break through the mental block, and build momentum. It doesn't matter how much time you have or how motivated you feel. All that matters is taking that first step. Once you start, you'll find that the task gets easier and the momentum keeps you going. So, the next time you feel yourself procrastinating, remember the 5-minute rule. Commit to just 5 minutes. That's all you need to break the cycle and get moving. You might surprise yourself by how much you can accomplish in that short amount of time. Start today and don't wait for motivation. Just take action. Chapter 5. Mastering consistency, not perfection. Perfectionism is a trap. We've all fallen into it. You want everything to be just right, and because it's not, you put it off. Or worse, you never start at all. You tell yourself, "I'll start when everything is perfect," or "I can't do this until it's just the way I want it." But here's the truth. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. It stops you from doing the things you need to do to move forward. Perfectionism might sound good, like you're aiming for high standards, but it only leads to frustration, delay, and missed opportunities. The reality is, nothing is ever perfect. You'll never have all the information all the time or all the resources. Things won't always go according to plan. And guess what? That's okay. In fact, that's life. The key to success isn't perfection, it's consistency. Small, consistent actions done every day lead to big results over time. You don't need to do everything perfectly, you just need to keep showing up and doing the work, day in and day out. Take Michael Jordan, for example. The man is considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But his journey to greatness didn't happen because he was perfect. In fact, he was famously cut from his high school basketball team. But Michael didn't give up. He didn't wait until everything was perfect. He kept working, kept practicing, and most importantly, kept showing up. He understood that success was built through consistency, not perfection. He said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Consistency is about making progress, even if it's slow. You might not see results immediately, and that's okay. The key is to keep going, even when it feels like you're not making a huge difference. Over time, those small efforts add up, and you'll look back and realize how far you've come. If you think about Albert Einstein, you know he wasn't perfect either. Einstein is known for developing the theory of relativity, but his journey was filled with failure, struggle, and mistakes. Einstein didn't achieve greatness by trying to be perfect. He did it by experimenting, failing, and then trying again. He said, "Failure is success in progress." It's the same for you. Every time you fail, you learn something. Every time you take consistent action, you move closer to your goal. One of the best ways to break free from perfectionism is by setting small, achievable goals. Instead of focusing on the final product or outcome, break your goal down into smaller tasks you can tackle every day. Whether you're writing a book, starting a business, or getting in shape, you don't need to have everything figured out all at once. Focus on the small steps. Celebrate those small wins. Each little victory builds momentum, and that momentum is what will carry you to success. This idea of consistency over perfection is something that James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, talks about in his book. He explains that habits are built through repeated, small actions. Clear writes, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. This means that you won't reach your goals simply by wanting it or planning for it. You'll reach it through the consistent systems you put in place." The key is to focus on creating habits that support your goals, even if you don't do everything perfectly. The system of small, consistent actions is what leads to lasting change. Imagine this. You want to write a book. The thought of writing an entire book can feel overwhelming. It seems like such a huge task, but if you focus on writing just 300 words a day, that's about 1 page. It doesn't sound like much, but do it every day, and in a month, you've written 9,000 words. In a year, that's over 100,000 words. Enough for a full-length book. It's not about writing the perfect chapter or getting the wording just right. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and staying consistent. Perfection is a myth. Progress, however, is real. Tony Robbins, the famous motivational speaker, has said, "The path to success is to take massive, determined action." Notice the key word there, action. It's not about waiting for everything to be perfect or hoping for motivation to strike. It's about taking action, even when you don't feel ready. That's how you get results. The more you take action, the more momentum you build. The more you build momentum, the easier it is to keep going. Let's talk about one more thing that can help you overcome perfectionism, the 80/20 rule, or the Pareto principle. The rule states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. In other words, you don't need to do everything perfectly or focus on every detail. Instead, identify the 20% of tasks that will give you 80% of the results. Focus on those high-impact actions and don't waste time stressing over the little things. The 80/20 rule helps you prioritize what really matters and avoid wasting time on things that won't make much difference in the long run. When you focus on consistency and the things that matter most, you'll see progress much faster than if you try to do everything perfectly. Let's bring this back to something personal. Think about your own life, your own goals. Are you waiting for the perfect time to start something? Or are you letting the fear of not being perfect stop you from moving forward? Perfectionism holds us back because it keeps us stuck in the planning phase. It makes us afraid to take action unless everything is just right. But here's the thing. You'll never have all the information all the time or all the resources to do things perfectly. The perfect time doesn't exist. The best time to start is now. And even if you can't do it perfectly, you can still take consistent action. Perfectionism is a form of self-sabotage. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you procrastinating, and it keeps you from moving forward. The more you focus on perfection, the more you delay the work that really matters. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll spend your whole life waiting. But if you focus on consistency, on showing up every day and doing the work, you'll make real progress. Let's get real for a moment. You will never feel 100% ready to start something new. That's normal. The fear of failure, of making mistakes, or of not being perfect can hold you back. But the only way to overcome that fear is to take action. Take that first step, no matter how small. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. What matters is that you're moving forward. What matters is that you're showing up. The key to overcoming perfectionism is to embrace imperfection. It's about accepting that you don't need to have all the answers right now. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to keep moving. One step at a time. One small action, day after day. By focusing on consistency, you create a system that leads to success. You'll improve over time. You'll get better, little by little. And eventually, you'll look back and realize that the small, consistent actions you took every day led to something much bigger than you ever imagined. The results might not be perfect, but they will be real. They'll be the product of your effort, your commitment, and your willingness to keep going. So, today, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop stressing over every detail, focus on taking consistent action, and let the progress follow. Remember, success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. That's the real secret to achieving your goals. Focus on the process, not perfection. Keep showing up, and most importantly, keep moving forward, one step at a time. Chapter 6. Turning setbacks into comebacks. Setbacks happen to everyone. No one is exempt, whether it's a failure at work, a setback in your personal life, or something that doesn't go as planned. We all face challenges. It's part of being human. What matters, though, is how we respond to those setbacks. The truth is, setbacks don't have to be the end of the road. In fact, they can be the very thing that propels you to even greater success. It's not the setback itself that defines you, but your response to it. The way you handle challenges can turn what feels like a failure into the starting point for a comeback. Think about some of the most successful people in history. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was once fired from the company he created. It's hard to imagine that now, with Apple being one of the most valuable companies in the world, but it happened. Jobs said, "I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did." He didn't let the setback of being fired stop him. Instead, he used it as fuel to push forward and build the company to what it is today. In fact, he later came back to Apple and revolutionized the tech world even more. Jobs didn't see his firing as the end. He saw it as a new beginning. This is the key to turning setbacks into comebacks. Your perspective. When you face a setback, it's easy to feel defeated. You might even want to quit. But if you can shift your thinking, you can turn that setback into a powerful lesson. Challenges aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities for growth. They show you where you need to improve, and they provide you with the chance to come back even stronger. Take a look at J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before she became one of the wealthiest women in the world, Rowling faced numerous setbacks. She was a single mother living on welfare, and her first book was rejected by multiple publishers. In fact, she was told that it was unlikely she would make any money from her writing. But she didn't give up. She believed in her story, and she kept going. She said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." Rowling used her setbacks as motivation, and now Harry Potter is a global phenomenon. Her story proves that setbacks don't define your future. Your actions and mindset do. When you face a setback, the first thing to remember is that it's not permanent. In fact, most of the time, setbacks are just temporary hurdles that will pass. What matters is what you do next. The famous motivational speaker Zig Ziglar once said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." It's about continuing to move forward, even when things don't go as planned. Every successful person has faced setbacks along the way, but they didn't let those setbacks stop them from starting again. Turning setbacks into comebacks requires a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing a failure or challenge as a sign that you're not good enough, view it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Every time you fail, you learn something new, even if it's just what doesn't work. Each failure brings you one step closer to success. Failure is feedback, not a final destination. It's a lesson, not a verdict. In his book, The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday explains the concept of Stoic philosophy. The central idea of Stoicism is that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. Holiday talks about how some of history's most successful people, like Thomas Edison and Abraham Lincoln, faced major setbacks but used those obstacles to fuel their success. Instead of giving up, they found ways to turn those obstacles into opportunities. Take Edison, for example. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but each failure taught him something new. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mentality that allowed Edison to turn setbacks into comebacks. Every failure was just another step towards success, and he didn't give up. The important thing to realize is that setbacks don't define you. It's your response to those setbacks that shapes who you are. When you face a setback, don't focus on the negative emotions, the frustration, the anger, the disappointment. Instead, focus on what you can control, your actions and your attitude. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this, and how can I use this experience to grow? When you shift your focus to learning and growth, you'll be amazed at how setbacks turn into stepping stones. Perseverance is key. It's about continuing to take small steps forward, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. The more you keep moving, the stronger you become, and over time, that persistence will pay off. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time, faced many challenges in his career. He was stripped of his boxing titles for refusing to fight in the Vietnam War, and he struggled with health problems in his later years. But Ali never quit. He said, "I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was." Ali believed in his ability to overcome any challenge. He used every setback as motivation to prove himself, and his legacy shows that setbacks don't define your career. It's your resilience, your will to keep going, that makes all the difference. A great way to turn a setback into a comeback is by reframing the situation. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects, look for the opportunities within the setback. Let's say you lose a job. At first, it may feel like the end of the world, but when you reframe the situation, you might see it as an opportunity to find something better, to explore a new career path, or to start your own business. The key is to focus on the possibilities, not the problems. Another strategy is to set new goals after a setback. Often setbacks happen because something doesn't go according to plan. It's important to take the time to reassess and adjust your goals. Set new, realistic goals based on what you've learned from the setback. When you have clear goals in mind, you can stay focused and motivated as you move forward. Sometimes, a setback can be a sign that you need to adjust your strategy. If things aren't working, it might be time to try a new approach. Don't be afraid to pivot. Flexibility is essential for success. Being able to adapt to changing circumstances can help you turn setbacks into comebacks. One of the most important things you can do when facing a setback is to ask for help. You don't have to go through challenges alone. Find mentors, support groups, or people who have been through similar situations. They can offer advice, encouragement, and insights that can help you see things from a different perspective. Sometimes, all it takes is someone else's point of view to help you find a solution. Thomas Jefferson once said, "I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have." Hard work, perseverance, and the willingness to learn from setbacks create the luck that leads to success. The more you keep pushing forward, the more opportunities you'll create for yourself. It's also important to celebrate your progress as you bounce back. Every small step you take after a setback is a victory. Celebrate the small wins along the way, and don't wait until you've reached your final goal. This will keep you motivated and remind you that you're making progress, even when things are tough. In the end, the secret to turning setbacks into comebacks is mindset. If you approach challenges with the right attitude, seeing them as opportunities to learn, grow, and improve, you can use any setback as fuel for your comeback. The greatest comebacks aren't made overnight. They're made through persistence, resilience, and the willingness to keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. So, the next time you face a setback, remember, it's not the setback that defines you. It's how you respond to it that matters. Use it as motivation, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Your comeback is just around the corner. Keep going. You've got this. Chapter 7: The Power of Reflection and Momentum. One of the most powerful tools you have to ensure lasting success is reflection. It's easy to get caught up in the grind, focusing on the next task, the next goal, and the next step. But if you don't take the time to pause and reflect, you can miss out on crucial lessons and opportunities for growth. Reflection is what helps you maintain momentum, adjust your approach, and keep pushing forward with purpose. Think about it. When you're driving, you don't just look straight ahead at the road and ignore everything else. You check your mirrors, you assess your surroundings, and you adjust your steering as necessary. Reflection works the same way. It's your mental mirror that helps you stay on course. Without it, you could easily get off track or keep repeating the same mistakes. One of the best things about reflection is that it doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't take a whole day or week to look back and assess where you are. It's about taking small moments, every day or every week, to ask yourself the important questions. What's working? What's not working? What can I do better? Steve Jobs said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." This is exactly why reflection is so valuable. You can only learn from your experiences by looking back at them. Whether you've made mistakes or achieved successes, reflection gives you the clarity to connect the dots and see how you can improve moving forward. When you reflect on your actions, you can adjust your approach, stay consistent, and ensure that your momentum keeps building. But reflection isn't just about looking back. It's also about learning from those experiences. Reflection helps you identify what's working well, so you can double down on those actions. It also helps you pinpoint areas where you might need to change your approach or try something new. If you're consistent with your 1 hour a day, but you don't take the time to reflect, you could miss out on valuable insights that could help you grow faster and more effectively. Tony Robbins, one of the most well-known motivational speakers, often says, "The quality of your life is the quality of your questions." Reflection is all about asking the right questions. By regularly checking in with yourself, you give yourself the opportunity to analyze your progress, make adjustments, and make smarter choices moving forward. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, "What did I learn today?" This simple question forces you to look for the lessons in every experience, good or bad. When you do this, you start to develop a growth mindset where you see challenges as opportunities to learn rather than roadblocks. Carol Dweck, in her book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, explains how people with a growth mindset believe that their abilities and intelligence can be developed through hard work and dedication. By asking yourself what you've learned, you start to adopt a growth mindset and see each day as an opportunity to improve. But reflection isn't just about asking questions and looking for lessons. It's also about celebrating your wins, no matter how small. Often, we focus so much on what's not going well or what still needs to be done that we forget to acknowledge our progress. Recognizing and celebrating small successes is a key part of building momentum. In The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg explains how habits are formed and why they stick. He writes about the idea of the habit loop, where a cue triggers a routine, and that routine leads to a reward. Reflecting on your small wins and rewarding yourself for completing your hour of focused work is a great way to reinforce positive habits. The more you celebrate your progress, the more likely you are to keep going. Reflection also helps you stay consistent. Let's face it, consistency is hard. Some days you won't feel like doing the work. Other days you might want to give up altogether. But when you regularly check in with yourself and see how far you've come, it gives you the motivation to keep going. John Maxwell, the leadership expert, says, "Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time." This quote perfectly captures the power of consistency and the role reflection plays in helping you stay on course. When you take the time to reflect, you remind yourself that every small step counts and that consistency is what will lead to long-term success. Reflection also allows you to adjust your approach when things aren't working. If you find that you're struggling to make progress with a particular task or goal, take a moment to reflect on what's going wrong. Are you trying to do too much at once? Are you focusing on the wrong things? Sometimes when we're stuck, all we need is a small adjustment to get back on track. Eckhart Tolle said, "Life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness." Reflection helps you figure out what experiences you need to learn from in order to evolve and grow. Here's a practical exercise you can try. At the end of each week, set aside just 10 minutes to reflect on your progress. Ask yourself, what did I accomplish this week? What challenges did I face? What can I do differently next week to improve? This simple act of reflection will help you stay focused, build momentum, and continue moving forward. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be incredibly effective. Another powerful way to reflect and keep momentum is through journaling. Keeping a journal gives you a dedicated space to write down your thoughts, ideas, challenges, and wins. Writing things down allows you to track your progress over time and gives you a chance to look back and see how far you've come. Hal Rudd, in his book The Miracle Morning, talks about the importance of writing down your goals, successes, and reflections as part of his morning routine. According to Rudd, journaling is one of the key practices that helps people stay focused, motivated, and consistent in their pursuit of their goals. But reflection isn't just about focusing on the past. It's also about planning for the future. After you've assessed what's working and what's not, it's time to make adjustments and set new goals. This is how you maintain your momentum, by continually tweaking your approach and pushing forward. When you reflect on your progress, you also gain clarity on the next steps to take. You might realize that something needs to change in your routine, or that you need to focus on a different area of your life. This helps you stay aligned with your bigger goals and makes it easier to stay motivated. Jim Rohn, a well-known motivational speaker, once said, "Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change." Reflection is the process of identifying what changes you need to make to keep moving forward. It's not just about staying the course, it's about adjusting your approach to ensure you continue to make progress, no matter what obstacles you encounter along the way. The power of reflection also extends to your mindset. Reflection allows you to look at things from a different perspective. It helps you see challenges as opportunities rather than setbacks. Instead of viewing a failure as something to avoid, you can learn to see it as part of your growth process. Nelson Mandela said, "I never lose, I either win or learn." This mindset is crucial to your success. By reflecting on your experiences, you can reframe challenges in a way that helps you move forward with more confidence and determination. As you reflect on your progress, remember that it's okay to adjust your goals as well. Goals are not set in stone. As you learn more about yourself and your work, you may find that your priorities shift, and that's okay. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, said, "The biggest risk is not taking any risk. As you reflect on your progress, take the time to adjust your approach when necessary. Don't be afraid to pivot or change direction. What matters is that you keep moving forward." So, make reflection a regular part of your routine. Take the time to check in with yourself. Assess where you are and adjust your strategy if needed. Celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and keep your momentum going. The more you reflect, the more you'll learn, and the more you'll grow. Success is not a destination, it's a journey, and reflection helps you stay on track as you continue to move forward, one step at a time. Keep going, stay focused, and trust the process. You've got this.